Welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel for Monday the 28th of August. Today going to have a quick run through of the transfer ins and outs and loans ins and outs that are occurring at Celtic at the moment. Couple of little thoughts regarding where Celtic are at the moment and where we're going, and also a couple of other things cropping up in various discussions on the Celtic sites, on the internet and YouTube, etc. Before we get going, just like to remind you all, if you can, to like and subscribe. Remember, there's a little just for fun trivia Celtic question in the community section. And this week, all the questions will relate to good memories of Celtic v Rangers matches over the last few years. Also going to put a couple of scouting highlight reels for one of Celtic's targets, Tommy Doyle, and I'll put that into the community section and also leave a link to those videos on YouTube in the description section that goes with this video. So, a couple of hours after my Sunday video, which was discussing the likelihood of both Luis Palma and Lianco coming to Celtic in this transfer window, lo and behold, as happens rather a lot these days, Lianco then was flown off to sign for a club in Qatar, cashing in on his success at Southampton and getting a big mega bucks contract to go to play in Qatar. I do think he would have been a good player for Celtic, and from the inside sources quoted on the internet and some vague statements from Brendan Rodgers, it did look like Celtic thought the deal for Lianco was progressing well and had the potential to be completed this week. However, it would appear that Lianco's agents had also been exploring the options in Qatar, and not too unexpectedly, he took the millions to go off and play in Qatar rather than coming to Celtic. However, the good news is that Luis Palma has flown in and is having a medical today in London, and also sorting out visa documents, which he requires to play in Scotland. And then it would be expected he will be signing for Celtic tomorrow. And so we should have a definite incoming transfer in the next 24 to 48 hours with Luis Palma coming from Aris Thessalonica in Greece to play for us. And he is a player very similar to Jota. Scores goals from inside the box, scores goals from outside the box, has a good ability to pass through the defence, create goals, get wide, cut the ball into the box for strikers and midfielders, and also has a great ability scoring from direct free kicks, which takes us back to the good old days of Shunsuke Nakamura, one of my favourite players, who has scored so many great free kick goals for Celtic in the old days, which some of you may have remembered and some of you may not even have been born for. However, I think Luis Palma can be a difference maker, probably signing just a bit too late to start against Rangers at the weekend, but I think he could be a massive impact off the bench settle down for a couple of weeks in the international break, and then be one of our key players in the Scottish campaign towards a double, and also in our European campaign. Other transfer news stories, one of which may be quite significant, is that the move for Quinton Merlin, the French under-21 left-back, currently playing for Nantes in Ligue 1, with a couple of years of first-team experience with 60-odd games for Nantes in Ligue 1. That appears to be moving along. In that Nantes have signed a new left back, which would appear to open the door for Quinton Merlin leaving the club. Celtic are certainly one of the clubs at the head of the queue to sign him, and I do feel that he would be a big impact player, a very big upgrade on Burnaby and Taylor, and kind of in the mould of Andy Robertson of Liverpool or Kieran Tierney, once of Celtic, then Arsenal, and now of Real Sociedad. And I think he is good at both ends of the pitch, has the flexibility to move uh, into midfield, to play left centre or left wide, and has even the potential to play left in a more attacking role also. However, primarily he is a left back stroke left wing back. However, would be fully able to play inverted left back and play all the way up the left side of the pitch. Good shot, great tackler, very intelligent player, very speedy, and has also great ability at long passes, crosses into the box. And so I think Merlin would be a great player for Celtic to sign, said to be available for around 7 million. Another player that very much seems to be on Celtic's radar, and a player that Brendan Rodgers has mentioned a few times, is Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle currently under contract with Man City, under contract for them for a couple more years. He is an England under-21 international. He's had 3 successful loan spells, last season at Sheffield United, previously at Hamburg in Germany, and also at Cardiff in Wales. He was pivotal along with his fellow Man City player James McAtee in Sheffield United's successful season last year. And unlike McAtee, who now seems to have got into the first team squad on a regular basis, Doyle appears to be staying in the under-21 squad at Man City with a view to transfer or loan. Celtic, of course, do have links with Man City through the City Group, and we have had successful loans in the past from Man City, such as Denier and Paddy Roberts, and successful signings like Incham and Frimpong. I have popped a couple of scouting highlight reels in the community video section of this channel, and we'll put in links for those 2 videos on YouTube also into the description for this video. He looks a really good player. Had scored 4 goals last season for Sheffield United, scored 9 goals for Man City under-21s, and has scored at under 17, 18 and 19 level for England, and has played around a dozen times for England under-21s. He is just the kind of midfielder that we need. I see him as being able to play the Callum McGregor more deep role, but also able to play the Rio Tati role or the Matt O'Reilly role. Hopefully, being able to score the chances that O'Reilly sadly missed for us against St Johnstone, although O'Reilly has started the season very well for us. And I do hope that we keep Hatate and O'Reilly until after the transfer window shuts, as I think those two will be very important players. However, having Tommy Doyle as an additional option in midfield, able to play more defensive or central attacking midfield, will be very important for Celtic going through the Champions League and Scottish campaign. He also is said to be available for £7 million, and I do wonder whether Celtic might go for a loan for 1 year with a 7 million fee at the end, similar to the deals that we struck for CCV and Jota a couple of years ago, which were initially loans for a season with a obligation to the transfer at the end of that loan period. The no real movement as yet on the Matthias Kiesgarten transfer from Brøndby, but the internet stories, newspaper stories, YouTube channel stories are all suggesting that Celtic are looking for a centre back, left back, midfield, striker, and a winger. It would appear that we have got the winger we are looking for in Luis Palma. Uncertain whether where we're going to go in terms of an additional centre back. There has been mentions of Rob Holding at Arsenal. He appears to be out of favour at Arsenal, but at his age and his stage in his career, similar to that with Eric Dyer, I do wonder whether it is worthwhile us signing them to come to Celtic. However, we shall see over the next few days, and I would be much more keen for Celtic to go for a loan deal, such as has been previously mooted, with a couple of young under-21 international centre-backs being available also through Man City on loan for a season. Goalkeeper, I think, might well have to wait until the winter transfer window, or be, as there does not appear to be much in the way of goalkeepers Celtic have been scouting now that Dominik Livakovic is off to Fenerbahce. Although there are said to be a couple of goalkeepers who will be in the winter transfer window nearing the end of their contract, and so may well be much more likely for their teams to sell them at that time, or we could obviously organise a freedom of contract style move with them being signed for the 24-25 season. Excuse me. Interesting news also from a press conference by Jurgen Klinsmann, where he was including Oh and Yang in his upcoming South Korea squad, and he has said that Oh is in the squad as he is expected to be fit for the international matches that follow the Rangers match at the weekend. If he's going to be fit for the South Korea international squad for the international break, that would indicate that he's also going to be fit, maybe just coming off the bench to play against Rangers at the weekend. And I think certainly O has the physique and style and strength to be a player coming off the bench, a bit more like a Giakoumakis. Also, potential for O and Kyogo to play together as a dual attacking threat, similar to what Celtic had with Sutton and Hartson, with Larsson playing off one of those two. Only one Celtic player called up for the Scotland squad, which was Callum McGregor, with both Ralston and Taylor missing out, which is not too unexpected given both have not started the season terribly well, and David Turnbull, who also may have been an outside chance of the Scotland squad. After the first game of the season, he has been really, for my part, quite disappointing. One final thought is that some are saying it's quite a contrast watching Ange Postecoglou's Spurs team in their first 3 games of the season and how he has transformed the way Spurs are playing. Much more attacking, much more on the front foot, a lot more energy, a lot more endurance. They have so far won 2 games and drawn one, and so they too has 7 points. The Spurs fans seem to be taking to Ange Postecoglou's tactics, style of play, and his personality. And then we contrast it with the Celtic match against St Johnstone. So while Spurs were beating Bournemouth in the lunchtime fixture in England, this was then followed by Celtic's rather drab, disappointing 0-0 draw with St Johnstone, where I think the contrast is quite significant. The pace, energy, aggression, non-stop style of Ange Postecoglou has been replaced by a much more slow, patient build-up, lots and lots and lots of passes across the back, into midfield, back to defence, which may work actually quite well for Celtic in Europe, but I don't think it's going to work terribly well against the teams that we're up against week in, week out in Scotland, where typically 9-man defence with one lone striker hanging about at the halfway line tends to be the way that each team plays against us. We don't seem to have the pace to get down the sides. We don't seem to have the incisive ball through the middle. We seem happy to let the other team set themselves up with their banks of 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 in defence and midfield, rather than playing the ball quickly, getting the ball back into play, quick passes, incisive passes, and then the wide players coming into the box to support Kyogo or O or Giakoumakis, as it was in the last couple of seasons. Kyogo seems to be playing deeper, which confuses me. Although it can create space, nobody appears really to be coming into that fill that space apart from Matt O'Reilly. And O'Reilly sadly missed 4 chances, 3 of which were very good chances against St Johnstone. And I do wonder whether, if it was Kyogo having those chances, whether we would have beaten St Johnstone 3-4-5-0. Because I don't see Kyogo missing all of those 4 chances that O'Reilly missed. So all well and good, I think. O'Reilly, Turnbull, Maeda, Forrest, Yang, Haksabanovic, Abada all getting into the box. Great. Scoring goals, supplying Kyogo, all great. But I think we do need to have a spearhead striker, such as Kyogo, playing up top with the midfielders and the wide players contributing. However, open to other people's thoughts. I, however, fully believe that Celtic's got good enough players and some great players to turn things around. I think Rodgers is a perfectly fine manager, has a reputation for coaching up players, has had relative success in English football, getting very close to the Championship in the Premier League with Liverpool, doing well for his first couple of seasons with Leicester, and of course won 7 trophies out of 7 in his 2 and a bit seasons at Celtic. And one could argue that the groundwork for the 2 additional trophies that Neil Lennon won after taking over from Rodgers were, in essence, Brendan Rodgers' team. I think, as I said, I think Celtic will turn things around. I think the players are good enough. I think the management and the coaching staff are good enough. I do think we'll get a couple of difference-making players in. I think some of the players who are more development players, like Yang, Tilio, Home, etc., will come through in the next year or two to be very good players. But I do think if we could sign a couple of impact players, such as Doyle, Merlin, and assuming the Lewis Palma transfer definitely goes through in the next day or two, I think these all are going to be very good for Celtic in the coming weeks and months and years. Just about finishing things for today. Please like and subscribe. Slowly getting the subscriber numbers up to where I was hoping for at this stage. The first target was 50, and we're getting very close to that, and then we can take it from there. Always happy to read your comments. Quite a few of you have been popping comments into the comment section. Quite a few of you have been putting your own thoughts and opinions. A couple of you have been putting in questions about where I think Celtic are going, all of which are great fun, and happy to reply as and when I can. So, please like and subscribe. Do have a wee look at the videos of Tommy Doyle, either through the links in the description section or through the video link in the community section. Have a go at the quiz question and speak again tomorrow. Goodbye and hail, hail.